During his inauguration ceremony, President Azali Assoumani announced a number of important measures, including his calling on the opposition for unity. In Madagascar this Monday, Malagasy voters cast their ballot to choose their 151 representatives in parliament among the 810 candidates for the country's legislative elections. Angola is on top of the African basketball of the men's category. Primero Agosto was crowned African champion on Sunday, overthrowing the title holder as Saleh of Morocco. These are our top stories. Stay tuned for more details in this newscast. South Africa is one of the biggest polluters on the African continent. This Monday, the country pleasantly surprised environmentalists. President Ramaphosa enacted a law in favor of the fight against carbon emissions in his country. This is a tax to businesses on their emission of carbon dioxide. The amount of this tax, which comes into force on the 1st of June, has been fixed at 120 rand or just over €7 per ton of carbon dioxide. In a statement by the South African Ministry of Treasury, it is stated that climate change is one of the greatest challenges humans are facing, and the primary goal of the carbon tax is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in a sustainable way. The reactions of environmental advocates were quick. The Worldwide Fund for Nature praised President Ramaphosa's initiative for enacting this long-standing law. Greenpeace said the tax sends a signal to polluting companies, but regrets that the amount is not enough for them to be convinced to reduce their carbon dioxide emissions. Until 2022, the tax must be revalued each year by the amount of inflation valued by 2 points, and then from 2023, only the amount of inflation reassessed. South Africa, the continent's leading industrial power, is extremely dependent on coal for its electricity production. It is the 14th largest polluter among several of the greatest polluting countries on the planet, according to Greenpeace. During his swearing-in ceremony for a new term of office as the Comoros head of state, President Azali Assoumani called for unity in front of more than 20,000 people acting as witnesses to his call for appeasement of the political environment throughout the country. For a great deal of time, the political crisis which has been shaking up the archipelago since the March 24th elections. I pledge to involve the leader of the opposition and leaders of all political parties in the decision-making process on all matters of national interest, he declared. As of this week, he ensures to put in place concrete measures of appeasement and legislation that will be submitted for this purpose. But the opposition feels a little skeptical with regard to this speech and says this is not the first time President Assoumani has made this type of promise, which they say are commitments that have never been kept, according to Muigni Baraka, acting president of a National Transitional Council platform that brings together the opponents to the head of state. This opposition is still contesting the results of the last presidential election and continues to demand a dialogue. Economy, social situation, unemployment and growth were among other topics discussed during his circumstantial speech. It is a crucial election for the ruling party in Madagascar. Supporters of Marc Ravalomanana, who lost in the presidential election, hope this time with 109 candidates to get the majority of seats and fully play a significant role against power and stay on the political scene in Madagascar. If the plan of the TIM party is to undermine the power of the current president, it is necessary nevertheless to avoid cohabitation, to have the majority from the first round to implement its campaign promises according to the power. The IRD platform of President Rajoelina is one of the few political parties to be established all over the country. Proposing more contenders for this election, the platform intends to achieve a great score in order for them to be able to ensure the stability of the regime. In recent years, the legislative elections have always been enameled by suspicions of corruption, circumstantial alliance, a situation which raises fears that this election will not follow the right path of previous ones. Even though the various political parties in contention have promised to break with these malpractices, it should be noted that more than 500 applications are without a label which could reduce the deficiencies. According to Transparency International, this large proportion of independents paved the way for an explosion of corruption and great parliamentary instability. And according to some political scientists, many of these independents are funded by major parties in a strategy of conquering seats. Kenya, a country in East Africa, intends to set up a technological laboratory which will develop and support technological solutions to conservation challenges around the world. The laboratory will use the Internet of Things, that is to say, the interconnections between the Internet and objects, to track and protect animals in danger. Alpejeta is home to the largest population of black rhinoceros in East Africa and the last white rhinos in the world. There are also other wild animals including lions, giraffes, and zebras. According to project manager, Alpejeta Tech Lab spans a 90,000 acres of land able to provide real-time information. The technology would offer longer battery life than all the radio collars of GSM solutions. The technical laboratory will also contribute to real-time monitoring of all animals thanks to technological platforms such as Earth Ranger, already used in parks in South Africa and Tanzania. Tourism is one of the country's main sources of foreign exchange, and Kenya relies on its parks to attract visitors according to Tourism Ministry. Last year, more than 2 million tourists visited the country. The red and black of Primero Agosto are on a cloud. The Angolan basket club took over the Moroccans of As Saleh 83-71 on Sunday. As Saleh was the winner of the 32nd edition. Primero Agosto wins the 33rd edition of the competition that has been organized since 1972 by the International Basketball Federation. Founded in 1977, the club of the Angolan capital has just won its 9th title in the League of African Champions in men's category. The club moves further away from its immediate challenger as Armed Forces of Senegal with 3 titles. Primero Agosto also holds other trophies including Angolan Championship with 19 titles, Angola Cup with 14 titles, and 12 titles in Angolan Super Cup. During his inauguration ceremony, President Azali Assoumani announced a number of important measures, including his calling on the opposition for unity. In Madagascar this Monday, Malagasy voters cast their ballot to choose their 151 representatives in parliament among the 810 candidates for the country's legislative elections. Angola is on top of the African basketball of the men's category. Primero Agosto was crowned African champion on Sunday, overthrowing the title holder As Saleh of Morocco. That's all for our newscast today. Stay tuned on Gabon 24 for more news.